Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Okay, so now we're going to go to Darwin. Good morning, Darwin.
Good morning to you, ANITA, and a healthy, happy, and prosperous new year to you and Bill.
Thank you, and the same to all of you there. And Darwin, you'll be surprised to see the January issue coming up, and of course, you know who's on the cover, Bill and Hillary, among other things.
I've heard of them.
So thank you again for that wonderful dedication. I was amazed that you would even do something like that. That was just, I can't even believe it. No one's ever done that for me before.
We're talking about Bill and Hillary, so this is that thing called love. And my book is now the first one out on the market for the new year about the Clintons. And I must tell you, I must bring you up to date on all the things that have happened. Even before the book was released, an amazing number of stories appeared around the world. There was sort of a slow period in the Hillary campaign where she wasn't generating much news. All the TV news, as you probably already know, was going to Donald Trump. So suddenly my book came out, and that was the way to put Hillary back in the headlines. Unfortunately, most of the headlines were wrong, but I was taking a lot of heat. But as Harry S. Truman said, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Well, I just have to say that the book is one of the most interesting books, and you've written so many about so many good celebrities, but I, of course, have had my opinions, but you certainly know a lot about them and all the people, their colleagues, and people don't like them. I don't know how you get all that information.
Oh, before the show ends, I want to just share some of the more outrageous comments that people have made because, again, they hadn't read the book. What they're really commenting on are the Clintons. And when I wrote about the Kennedys and Reagans, I felt they drew a lot of conflict, but wow, the Clintons really set temperatures boiling in either direction, you know. It's like, love me or hate me, Hillary said.
Have you been threatened at all?
Oh, I always am. But today, a lot of people are. I understand even broadcasters in television often write in or say on the air that, oh, God, I have to take a drink before I read my emails.
Really?
But I'll tell you how it all began. The Daily Mail in London broke a story on the book, and unfortunately they hadn't seen a copy of the book, and that went out to 200 papers around the world, from Montenegro to Patagonia, and rather misleading. But there are 3 points that they focus on. First, I'll take Bill's attempt that I wrote about to seduce Jackie Kennedy, Onassis. He first made a statement to friends after he'd visited in 1963, months before JFK died. He got to meet him and shake his hand, and it's a famous picture of him in the Rose Garden of the White House. And then later on, Bill told friends back in Arkansas, he said, I want JFK's job, and I want his woman.
No kidding.
And that would not at all be unusual for Bill, but like the New York Post, the press comment said that there's no way that a man would want to seduce a woman 17 years older than him. Well, where have they been for the last 2,000 years? I mean, have they not heard of cougars? Men have been seducing women older than them since the dawn of time. Take Madame de Pompadour. And also, Jackie Kennedy was a very seductive woman until the day she died, really. I mean, when she divorced Onassis, she got, I was told, at least 200 immediate proposals of marriage, often from men in their 20s. So she was more than an icon. I mean, she was also a very alluring woman. I've met her many times. I was just surprised that the press picked up on that. I would think some sharp editors would find that remark ridiculous about Jackie not being able to attract. She dated many men younger than her, so I understand she would also be a symbol to Bill Clinton. Anyway, he did not succeed. But why not make a pass, right? And then the other point that was picked up is that Hillary once in Little Rock ordered that Bill be tested for HIV because many of his girlfriends said he preferred unprotected sex. Well, in the 1980s, I think Hillary was being very discreet. I mean, you know, we didn't know very much about AIDS then and how it's passed on. So, but in some papers, that made headlines. And as I said, go, Hillary. I'm all for you on that one.
That's true. That was a very, I think that was very strange of his being that way, but I'm sure he used protection. I would hope he did, because none of the women, now in your book, unless I missed it, it didn't seem like any women claimed that they were pregnant from him. Did they?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I must have missed that.
Yes, there was one abortion. Yes. And then one woman claimed that he fathered her son. But it's all in there. But I just for fun, and then I want to talk about one of the most horrible stories they broke that's completely wrong. I just want to read you some of the comments that I found so interesting, rather provocative in the press. Bill Clinton's motto, 9 to 90, blind, crippled, or crazy, and not dead over 3 days. And here's another paper. This was a right-wing. Hillary also made a play for Jackie.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and here's one. I would not trust Bill Clinton in the same room with a female rubber doll.
That is really wild. Well, he did have charisma, didn't he?
You know, this is more of a political, and the marriage of Bill and Hillary is more about politics than love. That's an opinion. And here's one. I wonder how much the Republican Party paid the conservative far-right publisher to print this book. Oh, you get accused of many things. I've been accused of the far left and the far right, but my old managing editor at the Miami Herald said, if the far left and the far right are accusing you of being on either side, then you're doing your job.
That's good.
Now, here in the most right wing of, I think Karl Rove wrote this, Bill Clinton is an absurd man who is a F scumbag who would F a snake if you held it. Just look at the bow wow he married. Woo!
Oh, my goodness. And where did that appear?
I'd rather not name it. It's a right-wing organ that's published in Austin.
Yeah, well, of course, he himself had his own problems.
Yeah, and here is no big surprise from a documented rapist and sex maniac. The fact that he was elected twice just shows how low we have sunk. And here's another. We are about to sink a lot lower when the other half gets into the White House. Woo!
Yeah.
Ooh, these comments are take no prisoner, right?
They're really strong, and these are comments in newspapers. Where are they being from other newspapers?
Well, yeah, it all over. As you said, it was appeared all over the world, beginning with the Daily Mail. Like in New York, it appeared in the New York Post and everything. And I was very upset with the New York Post for running the comment that it's absurd that a man would want to seduce a woman 17 years. I thought the editors of the New York Post were a little smarter than that. But
Yeah, that is a stupid comment. I agree.
I would have come calling if Jackie had called me. I would have come run. I thought she was a very alluring woman, but so many of the comments were about how ugly Jackie was. I never viewed her as ugly. I mean, oh well. But we have different opinions, I guess, about female beauty. I thought she was a very beautiful woman.
I felt the same way, though, actually, Darwin, and I'm not a man, but I thought she was, and I could understand that, and she was so well educated, and the way she carried herself and her clothing, her fashion. So I agree with you, but everyone has opinions, right?
Yeah. Now, the worst thing that happened on the stories is I will tell you the headlines and then explain the copy in the book. The story was that the book says that Bill Clinton was a closeted homosexual, and that's not true at all. What I wrote about is when he went to Arkansas after he graduated from Yale, he was nearing 30, and he was unmarried, and he taught law at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, and a rumor spread that he was a closeted homosexual, and the boys were warned not to get near him, and then he ran unsuccessfully for Congress. Now, this sounds so absurd, a womanizer like Bill. One of the issues in the campaign, his first political campaign, is that he was a homosexual. And in West Arkansas, a woman screamed out at him in the auditorium, "Are you a homosexual?" And he said, "Lady, I am the last man in Arkansas that would be accused of being a homosexual."
That's great. Now, that's good.
Now, that's what's in the book, because that was part of the campaign and legitimate to write about. But then the tabloid people got a hold of it and started saying Bill Clinton was a closeted homosexual. By the time it made the front page in Sydney, it was Bill Clinton hired male prostitutes for sex, according to new book. Well, it's freedom of the press, right?
That's an amazing story. Wow, I can't believe that.
But, I'm almost beyond embarrassment at this point. It's like, gossip begins somewhere, and then it spreads, and then, as I said, by the time it reached Australia, he was buying male prostitutes. So that made a lot of headlines. I remember once I went with Tennessee Williams, and we were in Hollywood, and he had always been fascinated by Mae West, and we were invited by her apartment at 5 o'clock she wouldn't have a drink, she'd give us a drink. She had tea, and that's a story for a different day. But he was complaining about the bad reviews in the press, and she said, "Tennessee, it is when they stop writing about you that you have to worry about." I thought that was very good advice.
Well, Darwin, is it unusual for someone who is a celebrity like this to just have good press? I mean, isn't that a good thing too?
Yes. But you see, now, whether you hate, and many people obviously hate the Clintons, but yet she was just voted, you may have seen that, by the Gallup poll, the most admired woman in America. So,
admired man.
What's that?
You said the most admired woman.
Woman in America.
Oh,
yeah.
she was. I'm sorry. You're talking about Clinton. You're talking about Hillary. Yes, I did see that. Yes.
Hillary was voted the most admired woman in America. Now, not by everybody, but the majority of the people voted her the most admired. Now, there's a statement that just came out in Toronto that from someone who actually read the book, and I think it's very brief, but I think it puts the Clintons in perspective, especially Hillary. It said, "The Clintons are a modern political dynasty, like kings and queens of yore. It's the story, meaning the book, of how his charm and her ability to command respect have kept them in the political eye for more than 25 years. Hillary ran for the Democratic candidacy before and lost to Obama, but this time she's ready. This is a woman who, according to this book, was certain that she would be the first female president back when she was a kid. Even if she doesn't win, she has earned her place in history, not just as First Lady, but as a political legend. And I think that's true. She will certainly go down in the history books. And
well, she's a very smart woman, Darwin. I mean, listening to her and all, she's very smart, and she has something that I don't know of another woman in society today that has.
Yes, I think so. Most definitely. Now, I got some good news yesterday. The New England Book Festival named me runner-up biography of the year.
Really? Congratulations.
From people who read it. But I don't know the winner yet. I'll fly to Boston, but I've heard a rumor. I get the silver, but the gold, I think, will go to Karl Rove.
Oh, please, don't say that.
Who was called George W. Bush's brain.
Yeah.
He was also called something else by Bush that I can't repeat. And he has written a book, which I think a very researched, scholarly book on President McKinley, who was assassinated in 1901. You know, Theodore Roosevelt then became president after his assassination. And Karl Rove has been making the rounds on TV promoting a book on McKinley. I don't know what the audience is for that. I mean, McKinley was a very important figure in American history. And oddly enough, last year, someone wrote a 850-page book on Ida McKinley, his wife, now, who is, I think it's going to be a very special person who reads the book on Ida McKinley.
I saw some of those interviews, by the way, and I was very surprised. But yeah, I mean, he's certainly been. He will be a person in history the same way. You know, people.
Exactly.
You know, it's just the certain people. Well, let's get back to Hillary. So, what? So, in your mind, do you believe she will be the next president?
Yes, I think so. I probably, unless something goes way wrong, she will run against Donald Trump. There will be a great deal to stop him, but he may just get over the top, and he's my September book, so I'd be very lucky to have a book on Hillary and a book on Donald Trump.
I would say so. Oh, my heavens. And so, but no, you have another one coming up you're working on right now.
Yes, I do. A really powerful story on James Dean that has never been told. But I have just a couple of comments I want to share that Hillary has said. These are to friends, and you know, if you're a very famous person, you can't say anything to a so-called friend if you don't want to see it appear in print. But she said, I told Bill that when we're back in the White House, he'll have to behave. and this one I like. It says, Bill Clinton is like an old tomcat. It doesn't matter how many times you throw him off the roof, he always lands on his feet.
Well,
and then I love this. This is Hillary. She said, saint or sinner. I'm not as good as some people say, nor as bad as some people claim. And this one I disagree with. David Gergen, you probably hear him a lot on TV. He says, not since Franklin and Eleanor has a power couple fascinated the public as much as Bill and Hillary. I would agree with that, except I would add Jack and Jackie Kennedy. I mean,
I agree with you. Yep.
They would have to be named. I mean, we don't hear that much about Mr. and Mrs. Carter or
no.
But I think the Roosevelts and the Kennedys were have to be named with the Clintons as the couple that not McKinley and Ida. No, they. But so I mean, David is a very smart man, but I think he should have added the Kennedys. Now, this was one that I love. It was something Bill said about Hillary when he was living with her in Washington after they had graduated from Yale. He says, "I love living in sin with Hillary, but I have grave misgivings about getting involved with her."
Wow.
Of course, he changed his mind. And while she was First Lady of Arkansas, Hillary told her chief of staff at the Little Rock, the equivalent of the White House in Little Rock, she says, "There are worse things than infidelity."
Well,
perhaps
we brought something up which I think is important. We only have a minute to go, but Jackie, of course, suffered the same problem with Jack Kennedy that
Yes.
Hillary. So, we should be used to it. It's just that people have forgotten, or they just didn't have the same amount of press about that.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I've looked into their lives. Jimmy Carter and Harry S. Truman were faithful to their wives.
Yes. And everybody else, maybe something else, huh?
Yeah, right. So it all depends on who goes into the White House. But it's going to be a hell of a year as far as the campaign goes. I find it an absolutely fascinating thing.
Yeah, you would. But I have to say that if Trump were to win, his wife would be interesting to see what his wife would be like as the First Lady. Because I know you said she's so beautiful. You've seen her on Fifth Avenue. And
yes, I think she would be presiding over lovely gala events the way that Jackie did, and to some degree the way that Nancy Reagan did. And she's almost like a doll. I don't know I think she would have very few, if any, political opinions. She would be just like, I don't want to call her a mannequin, but she would always say the right thing, do the right thing, and she would appear in a different designer gown every night.
Well, but
she has her own money, by the way.
Oh, really?
She makes with her designs. She makes now for Trump it's nothing, but she makes $1 million a year, which provides enough money for her. You can buy a lot of gowns for $1 million a year, and so I'm sure he buys things for her. But what I'm saying, even if he cut off her, John Kennedy cut off Jackie's clothes allowance.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She had to turn to Papa Kennedy.
Really?
Well, she said she was going to have to wear the same. She accused Kennedy of making her wear sackcloth and ashes. And then Joseph Kennedy said it would be very good for the presidency if you appeared in the latest haute couture. And so he became her financier for her wardrobe.
It just never stops, does it, Darwin? Well, it's so wonderful to talk to you because we hear from you things we would never hear before, and for you to hear again or before, and for you to get up the way you do once a month and do this with us, such a privilege, Darwin, and we can't thank you enough.
So
I hope I hope everyone will buy this book. It is it's such a great read. I have it sitting on our coffee table, and you will just love it.
Picture of you in it. My only fear, and we'll go off the air, my only fear is there will be a knock on my door, and Bill Clinton will be there with 3 Secret Service men, and he will say, "Bubba, you and I have got to talk."
Oh, my goodness. So that hasn't happened yet, but do you have a big dog there in the house?
Yes.
That's good.
So a wonderful year to you.
Yes,
Bill.
same to you,
And it sounds
Darwin.
like
Yes.
You've got a big name star coming up.
I know, yeah, well, you're better. You're better, actually.
One of my favorite singers.
Well, Please Release Me is my favorite, so, yeah, that'll be fun. But, listen, I really just love having you a part of our family.
And take care now.
Thank you. Bye.